discuss it with you. Okay. And if there's a problem, you can ask me. I'll elaborate. This is May 2018, paper 1. Take the four most accurate statements referring to the meaning of data and information. So data consists of raw facts and figures. This seems to be true. Okay, information when processed becomes data. No, wrong. Data is collection of text, numbers, symbols. Yes, seems correct. We have to take 4 actually. Okay, all right, seems to be correct. Data does not need to have meaning to become information. No, knowing that this, and this are heights in centimeters of pupils of in school makes it set of data. No, it makes it knowledge. Wrong. Data cannot be interpreted until it's organized. Somehow seems to be correct, but let's see which else is correct. Okay, data is, so I'll just put like this, seems to be correct. Data is never represented, is never represented by binary in computer. Wrong. Data must have a context to become information. Yes, is correct. Data is a result of processing information usually by computer. Data is a result of processing information usually by computer. Not a very good statement. We have to find the most appropriate. A group of facts which are used in context is called a set. A group of facts, a set of data. And not very well. So this is correct. This is so we have to find the most relevant one. Okay, you will find information. You just have to see which one is the most relevant one. So that's the way you can do it. If you feel that one question is somehow correct, you can somehow sign it, take it somewhere else, and then read it up. Okay. Again, take the 4 most accurate statements. Most accurate. Okay. So they might be accurate, but we have to find the most accurate. Remember that. Okay. A mouse is an essential for entering commands when using command line interface. For entering commands is essential. Not a very valid statement, but let's see ahead. Okay. Like yesterday, my keyboard was not working. I could have used a mouse by using an online on-screen keyboard to enter data, but mouse is, it's not essential. Keyboard is more essential. So it's not a very valid statement, okay? Computer beginners often prefer to use command line interface. Not all. Computer beginners don't use command interface, they use GUI, obviously, you know that, okay? GUI, right? Graphical user interface. A graphical interface does not require the user to learn any commands off by heart. Yes, that's true. User can only draw charts when using graphics. Absolutely not. That's not the right statement. A graphical interface consists of Windows, Windows icon menus and pointers. Absolute true statement. A microphone is needed to input commands into a dialogue interface. Absolutely correct statement. A dialogue interface requires the user to be a computer expert. Absolutely wrong. A gesture-based interface does not require the use of input devices. Not very good statement. No. A gesture-based interface usually concentrates on face and hand movement. Absolutely correct. The time taken for command to be given and response appearing on the screen is not important on a dialogue-based interface. Again, not right. So we have the 4 most appropriate statements. You're with me, right? Any problem? Right?
No.
Yeah. An author is using computer to write a book, right? Describe in detail how she could use different set of keys on her keyboard to edit and save the book. So it's 3 more questions we have. You can help me out as well, but it's a very generic question. Well, obviously there are different ways we can do it. So Describe in detail how she could use different set of keys on the keyboard to edit and save the book. Well, if let's say you're using Word, MS Word, and you're typing in something, you would use different. You would obviously use, in order to copy details, copy text, copy image, copy any part content. You can press Control C, okay. And if you want to paste it, you can press Control V by pasting it at any part. You can use Control A to select the entire document. Maybe you want to select the entire document and you want to make it bold, or you want to change the color, or you want to change the font type. Okay, we can press Control A for the entire selection. You can press Control P to take a printout. Okay, I've listed down 4 points. Okay, right? Obviously, and Control S could be used to basically save the document. So the different commands that could be used to edit and save, right? Obviously, we are doing practical, so somehow this seems to be a very valid question. When the author finishes a chapter, she wishes to print it out. Fine. Name 3 appropriate types of printer for each one. Give a different advantage to the author of using and comparing. Very easy question, by the way. So we will be talking about 3 printers. We'll talk about the dot matrix. We can talk about inkjet, and we can talk about laser printer. So obviously, if we go for dot matrix, it's much cheaper. The running cost is very cheap. It makes a lot of noise, and the printout resolution will not be that good.
Quality.
Exactly. So dot matrix, we just have to basically uh, in a way evaluate. Okay, so we have to each give a different advantage to the author. Okay, so we don't have to discuss the disadvantage. So it's cheaper. That's the only reason that we have. We don't really have to refill them again and again. Okay. As far as inkjet is concerned, its initial cost of inkjet printer is low. Okay, that's the advantage. As far as the laser printer is concerned, the quality is really good. Okay, and again, just like inkjet, we don't really have to fill it all over again and again. So we have to discuss the advantage of each and every printer for this particular scenario. There is a global digital divide between more and less industrially developed nations. Fine. Describe this type of digital divide. So this is your 6 marks question. Very typical, frankly easy to answer, because you need to talk about digital divide between more and less industrially developed nation. Digital divide. So how one country is lacking compared to the other one as far as the
Technology.
technology. We can talk technology, obviously. Very good.
Urban and rural areas.
Very good. Okay. Yes.
The type of education given your training to use the supplies.
Yeah. We can talk about technical education given to the workers. Absolutely correct. Because we can relate to that, because it is industrial development. If your technical staff is technically educated, it will be obviously result in more industrial development. Absolutely correct. We can relate to broadband connection over here as well. Okay, obviously we can, because when you communicate, when you discuss and all that for communication, obviously it's directly related to industrial development as well. Okay,
Yes, sir.
we can talk about that.
Infrastructure facility.
Absolutely correct. Yes, all of you are with me, right? So you can even mention 5 points and elaborate them. If you have 6 points, good. So even if you have 5 points, elaborate them. It's perfectly fine. Okay. Right. People working away from their office are able to make use of the company's network through a VPN, virtual private network. So we did talk about virtual private network. Virtual private network is that when we have two different computers or devices that are basically a lot distant away. Okay, we can connect them even through the internet. Okay, we can use internet as backbone, and there is a tunnel created. We call this tunnel, and the process is known as tunneling. So through tunneling, the communication can take place. VPN could be a company's own server, or VPNs mostly are third party. Okay, so why VPNs are used? Basically, obviously, it's a very secure way. Data is encrypted in such a way that it cannot be read by anyone. It's a very safe way. Okay, and um, so we can talk about public that we use public lines, security. We can talk about that it could be company's own, it could be external. Okay, it's cheaper and it could be hundred and thousands of kilometers away. That doesn't make a difference. So these are the points that we have to mention over here, right? Uh, and security is high. We'll mention that as well. Uh, that's it. This is all what we have to mention over here. Many organizations use expert system to diagnose tool. In detail, describe the components of an expert system. Right. So we have discussed expert system. Yes. Sumaya, beta hai? Rest of you.
Yes, sir.
Expert system basically 6 marks question again. So we have to mention basically is that basically what how many organizations use expert system diagnose tool. So it's not a specific one. General, we have to talk about it. So it could be anything. So basically, an expert system is that has a knowledge comprises of a database. Okay, so we will obviously discuss the three major components. We'll talk about the knowledge base. We'll talk about the front end. Okay, the GUI where the user will enter the queries and the questions, and then we'll have the inference engine. We'll discuss the inference engine in more detail. We'll say inference engine will consist of your interrogation techniques. Okay, now these are proper words, and they're just not saying it out. Interrogation techniques, you have to mention that. Interrogation techniques are when they consist of different rules, such as if then else statement. You will also mention this. You have to write the if then else, because that's how it works. If then else statements will help you to interrogate and search for relevant data that has been typed in. And it will go in the backend database, and it will search that particular data. So these are the components that we basically have to discuss. Generally, we will not discuss about any particular expert system. We just have to tell that how an expert system basically works. Okay? This is all we have to do. So obviously, the 6 marks is over here does not mean we have to mention 6 points. The question is that we have to explain how can it be used as a diagnostic tool. Okay? So we can further mention is during while we're answering it, that the user will enter the question and queries into the front end interface, okay, and after step by step of queries and questions that will be asked by the expert system, the user will be given the final answer that he or she is expecting to get from the expert system. Describe the importance of considering a user's mental model when designer seeks to create a user interface for them. Now, you do know what a mental model is. A mental model basically is obviously a mental model, which means, for example, if I ask you right now that can you just think of creating a website for an organization, and I'll give you some just brief rough idea. You first of all you just create a rough idea of the user interface. You'll think of where the links will be, the banner will be, the initial page content will be. You'll think of the color scheme. Okay, and let's say if I give you a spreadsheet question, you'll also first of all think What different function formulas will you use? You'll create a mental model. So in computer systems, whenever we have to develop something, obviously the first thing what we do is we create a mental model. And developers, designers all use a mental model. I mean, they first think of it. Okay. So what they're asking over here is that describe the importance of considering a user's mental model. Why is it important that a user's mental model?
सर हम ये कह सकते हैं कि यूजर इंटरफेसेस आर मेंट टू हेल्प द कस्टमर, तो फिर जब एंड यूजर का हमें मेंटल मॉडल हम देख के फिर उसको बनाएंगे तो फिर वो उनको यूज करने में आसानी होगी।
बिल्कुल, क्योंकि मेंटल मॉडल क्रिएट ही तब होता है एग्जैक्टली जब आप सोचा होता है उसके इज बेस्ड ऑन दैट। एब्सोल्युटली करेक्ट। बिल्कुल। सो व्हाटएवर द यूजर विल बी थिंकिंग ऑफ, it will obviously be reflected, and whatever the mental model that the user has thought of, the user might note down the points, okay, which can be implemented afterwards. Okay, so whatever the thought will be, it will be practically implemented. Mental models is a very quick way to basically implement something. Okay, it's very a good way to use your prior experience to create something. Okay, so this is why we use mental models. Okay, mental models can be used to be shared with other designers. Okay, note down your points and similar ideas, whatever they are, can be communicated with other designers, and a final mental model can be created as well. So it's not that only one user's mental model is implemented; multiple user mental models can be integrated to create the final word. Okay, so and all what you can talk about is that more trainings can be given to basically tell your designers that how to be creating the mental models. Okay, because you can be trained to create and think in a different manner. Obviously, your thinking can be changed. So, for example, if I give you a rule, and if I tell you that whenever you have to develop a website, whenever you have to design a website, these are the following things that you should look into first. So every time when you will think, you will say, okay, right, we have to think of the color scheme. Okay, so we have talked about the presentation layer first. Then we'll think about the content. Then we'll think about the behavior layer, JavaScript programming. So exactly. So yes, you can be trained to create a mental model. Absolutely, it's correct. Right. Yeah. So you can get a question of spreadsheets because practically we've done that. Joanne is an owner of a small company. He has created a spreadsheet to calculate the payroll. His spreadsheet is shown below. Each worker pays one of the 4 different rates of tax, right? Each worker has one of the 4 different tax allowances. A tax allowance is the amount that can be earned before workers start paying tax. Okay. So range of taxes हमारे पास है. Tax allowance range. Okay. W का ये right. Worker's name, weekly wage, tax rate, A, B, C है, ठीक है. Tax allowance यहाँ दिया हुआ है. What I can see over here is over here we are using vertical data. Over here we are using horizontal data. Somehow age lookup का काम आ रहा है. पता चल रहा है. Taxable pay and wage after tax. Right. ठीक है, देख लेते हैं. To make it easier to do the calculations, Joanne has used named ranges. The range of tax rates is called rate. Okay, range of tax rates. This is called range. This particular is called range. Remember that. Okay, this is known as rate, and tax allowance is known as allowance. So this is known as allowance. Remember that. Okay, right. So describe how would you set up named range allowance. Okay, yeah. How will you do that?
तो की सेलेक्ट करके उनको नेम दे देना.
Exactly. इतना seriously why 3 months? But exactly that's what we'll do. या तो directly हम जाके उसके जो होता है name box होता है, we can go and type it over there and press enter, or we could right click and define जो name होता है, we go over there and we type the name and press OK. That's the way we can do it. Each worker has an amount related to their tax allowance, deducted from their weekly wage to calculate the taxable pay. Write in the formula that would go in cell F11 to calculate the taxable pay for Patrick or really. The formula should be
H2 पर है ना?
GH lookup वाला ये taxable pay. Okay, F11. I'm sorry, F11. अच्छा कैलकुलेट किया हुआ टैक्सेबल पे. यस, तो क्या होगा?
is equal to H lookup Y. नहीं मतलब हम कहेंगे D11 and the range tax allowance range.
ठीक है. So we'll look at
G3 ratio J5. नहीं J4.
सर ये मैं दोबारा पढ़ लूँ. Just one second. Okay, to calculate the taxable pay. Write formula that should go in cell F11 to calculate the taxable pay for taxable pay. So हम tax allowable.
हमें H lookup से पहले हमें sum वाला formula नहीं इस्तेमाल करना पड़ेगा साथ.
Right. So we'll use this. ठीक है, क्योंकि हम ये यूज करेंगे ना, तो हम सबसे पहले निकालेंगे ये. We'll first of all find this. ठीक है, allowance. So first of all, we'll write is D11. We will use this tax allowance. Then this range, comma 2, comma 0. ठीक है, निकल आएगा. और टैक्सेबल पे से हमारा ये निकल आएगा. और आपने क्या लिया सॉरी बेटा?
हमें सम का फॉर्मूला नहीं इस्तेमाल करना पड़ेगा साथ क्योंकि हमने उनको वो माइनस करना है.
माइनस करा था
250 माइनस 240 होगा.
हम इसको माइनस करेंगे ना, हम इसको माइनस करेंगे. यस और नो?
यस सर यस.
है ना, हम इसको माइनस करेंगे. वाई? यस. सो ये देखो बिल्कुल सही कह रही हो आप. if I use this, so I'll have is 250. In this particular case, I'll have 250 minus h lookup, and h lookup अगर मैं y को करता हूँ तो y is 240. 240 ना, getting my point ना. y को अगर मैं h lookup करता हूँ, y is 240. So this becomes 10. Yes or no? ठीक है ना? समझ आई?
यस सर.
हाँ ठीक, आप सही कह रही हो. Absolutely correct. That's all. Anyone else has a problem? You get the point, right? So you see, yesterday I was talking about verification, and here we get the answer verification. If you verify, somehow you will know you're doing it right. Verification is important. So that's how we'll use this one. ठीक है. The taxable pay is multiplied by the rate of tax to calculate the tax which must be paid, which is then deducted from their weekly wage. Okay. The result will be their weekly, their wage after taxation. Write the formula that should go in cell G11. That should go in cell G11. इसकी बात कर रहे हैं वो. ठीक है. To calculate the wage after tax deduction, the formula should be easy to replicate and use name range. Find, identify the steps that will need to be displayed. The value in G11 exactly shown in the spreadsheet. So 7 marks question, really? Okay, let's think over it. Yes. Apart एक बार please, all of you read this. We need to discuss this. 7 more questions. We have discussed this. The taxable pay is multiplied कह रहा है by the rate of text to, okay, so taxable pay को हम multiply करेंगे by the rate of pay to calculate the tax which must be paid, which is then deducted from the weekly wage. In fact, it's easy. So what we have to do is, बिल्कुल 7 marks 7 भी हुआ है तो आसान होता है. So what we'll do is, first of all, is we will multiply is over here is F11. This F11 will be multiplied by VLOOKUP हम करेंगे. VLOOKUP करेंगे हम इसको B को from here. So that we get is the tax rate. Okay. What are the tax rates of these? ठीक है. So let's say B का आता है 30%. So we'll find is right 30% comma 2, right? So and multiply by F11.
मुझे समझ आ गई है.
ठीक है. और हमें एक्चुअली उसने बता भी दिया है is deducted from the weekly wage. फिर हम करेंगे basically B11 minus, तो इसका फॉर्मूला बेसिकली होगा मैं इधर ही लिख देता हूँ. इसका फॉर्मूला होगा B11 हम करेंगे और फिर हम माइनस करेंगे
माइनस VLOOKUP.
नहीं पहले लिख लेंगे F11 को मल्टीप्लाई करेंगे VLOOKUP के साथ. I'm sorry, I'm not using the tablet, so I hope you get it. और VLOOKUP में obviously we'll do is a C11 lookup value, comma इसका नाम क्या था, rate. We'll write rate, right, comma 2, comma 0. You get the point? This is what we will write.
Yes, sir.
Right? Or if you get the point, I just have to note down and think. Obviously, अगर आपको Excel आता होगा तो ये काफी आसान है. It's not something tough. So you see, it's like 10 marks for Excel. No, not very difficult at all. Right.
Sir, सिर्फ इसी फॉर्मूला के लिए 7 marks मिलेंगे.
जी, वही मैं हैरान हूँ, तो मुश्किल नहीं था. इसी फॉर्मूला के 7 marks हैं. That's it. Okay. The company has its own website and wishes to, please you'll join back जब होगा, okay? The company has its own website and wishes to add a music soundtrack. Its web designers will need to edit the soundtrack before uploading it. ठीक हो गया? They will need to use sound editing software. I'm not giving you. Sorry, हम discuss किया हुआ है. We have. Okay. I thought you sound उसका question मगर उसका नहीं है. Okay. Describe including the effects in the following aspects of sound editing software. You know what the sample rate is? हमने पहले भी discuss किया हुआ है कि if this is your
number of samples taken per second.
Very good. And what we have is these are your samples, okay? So these are your samples. So in one wavelength, let's say from here till here, the number of samples that I will be having in one wavelength, this will be the resolution. How many samples do I have? And the sample rate basically means that how many samples per second am I processing? That's the sample rate. You get my point? Both of the things. Resolution means the number of samples.
Yes,
and sample rate, how many samples are basically being processed per second. Trimming basically means to taking out a part of a sound wave, taking it off, trimming it off, cutting it off. इसको trimming कहते हैं. Below is an excerpt from database. I'm not giving you this question. I'll not give you. You have a database. If I'm not giving you in the practical, I'll not give you. And the theory as well. So we can skip database part of the question जो आएगा. Control technologies are affecting everybody in their normal way of life. Some people think this is good, others disagree with this. Evaluate the use of control technologies in everyday life. Question, 8 marks question. Okay. Think over the points. फिर हम discuss करते हैं, all of you. Control system discuss किए हैं हमने. We have discussed it. All of you. Fatma, beta abhi. Dua, you there as well, beta? Join late. But,
Yes, sir, I'm here.
yeah. So we're talking about control technologies. How are they affecting everybody in their normal way of life? Some people think it's good, and others would like disagree with it. Okay. First of all, I know most of the points are in the good favor, but why would someone disagree with it? Yeah, let's
फिर
not
जिसकी जॉब जा रही है उसके
exactly. So obviously, control technologies will create more of de-skilling. People will become more unemployed. Okay, when repetitive tasks can be done through robots in industries, obviously human will be laid off. Okay, uh, and इसके अलावा nothing else जो disadvantage है. But if you start discussing eventually, why do you think so it's good? Obviously, you can talk about lots of things. For example, बताओ, are affecting everybody in their normal
accuracy, speed,
speed exactly. They have now
quality.
quality is improved exactly. Efficiency has improved. People can do other things at the, apart from
At a lower cost, companies will have a lower cost.
absolutely okay. It has helped people to increase their standard of livings as well. Okay. Yeah, we can talk about the people have become lazy as well. Okay. Yes, they have. Okay. Right. Obviously, it is a point. I'm controlling. You don't have to get up and do things.
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay.
हम ये भी कह सकते हैं कि इसमें हाई स्किल लेबर इस्तेमाल होती है जिनकी हाई पेड जॉब्स होती हैं.
Absolutely. बिल्कुल सही है. हाँ, right. Anyone else? क्योंकि 8 mark question है. So as many as we can think of. We can also give examples over here. Absolutely. And evaluation है ना. तो आपका 1 mark आपका evaluation का भी होगा, which means that you have to evaluate. You have to talk about it. Why do you think it's good, and others disagree with it? Well, I would not disagree with it if I evaluate, because the advantages are way more than the disadvantages. So it has obviously benefit.
एडवांटेज में इस तरह का कुछ कह सकते हैं कि some decisions ऐसे होते हैं जो humans can only give the answer. जिसका expert system में हमने किया था.
मैं समझा नहीं, बोलो तो.
सर ट्रैफिक कंट्रोल सिस्टम्स है तो टाइम वगैरह के हिसाब से वो उनको मैनेज करना वो ह्यूमंस
जी बिल्कुल बिल्कुल.
प्रोसेस होता है वो कंप्यूटर्स नहीं वहां तक जा सकते.
जी बिल्कुल you can.
इवैल्यूएशन प्रोसेस.
Yeah, you can mention that. ठीक है. So control systems has obviously helped us in many ways. Okay, for controlling things, makes things easier for us. Um, it has also made us to save a lot of money as well. Why? Because we can relate it. Air conditioning system में, ठीक है, लाइटिंग सिस्टम में जब ह्यूमन यूज नहीं होंगे तो obviously we can save a lot of cost as well. So yeah, the advantage and disadvantage we have. So many people use internet on their daily basis to communicate with others, discuss benefits and drawbacks of individuals using internet to communicate with each other. This question is so typical. एक internet question जरूर आता है. And again, ये 8 mark का होगा. I don't know. The examiner just wants to fill it up. So again, I think so. It's a very easy question. The only thing is you just need to think about the benefits and drawbacks of individuals of using internet to communicate to each other. Yeah. So obviously, benefits तो आप लिस्ट डाउन कर लोगे बहुत सारे. Drawbacks डिस्कस करते हैं. Drawbacks क्या होंगे?
The quality of connection on both sides.
Safety of data.
ठीक है नहीं also drawbacks of using internet to communicate. Well, Ismi, you can talk about the drawbacks of e-safety. You can discuss e-safety over here. Remember e-safety? What was e-safety? When you start using computers all the time for communication, you will become a victim of e-safety, which means you have to deal with phishing, farming, okay? You have to deal with spamming. You have to deal with such kind of things. You get my point? So you can discuss those points over here as well, can't you?
We can use points of health as well. How health is affected as well.
Health is affected as well. So you can talk about health points as well over here. Exactly. So drawbacks में आ गया ना? When you're using internet to communicate all the time, that can advantage तो obviously आपको पता है. Obviously it's cost effective है, convenient है, very responsive है, it can be done fast, okay, can be done from anywhere, anytime, instantly हो जाता है. So obviously advantages to बहुत, benefits to बहुत ज़्यादा है. But drawback किसके लिए क्या है? Drawbacks to पहले discuss कर. So these are drawbacks and advantages. So you discuss four points and explain. That's how you get 8 marks. And that's your P1, okay? Generally, this is the way it is. You can just do is solve 2-3 more. I'll try to solve another one as well with you. So, or that's the way it is. So, अब हम एक JavaScript पे पेपर कर लें, ठीक है? I'll just अच्छा बेटा let's join back क्योंकि 1 minute कम रह गया तो let's join back, okay? Please all of you join back.